Welcome to Happy Homes and Gardens. I'm your host. My name is Daphne Royse. I am a real estate broker, architecture, and interior designer. OLHSO, OLHSO, has launched California's first fully automatic robotic kitchen, handling everything from preparation and cooking to cleaning. Fully automatic robotic kitchen truck will deliver freshly cooked meals straight to your doorstep. Olav Dønnum is the CMO of OLHSO, who joined us to share insights on this innovation venture. How are you, Tord?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me on the show, Daphne. It's always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, how you became involved with the OLHSO?
Sure thing. So just to kind of I want to start with a little high level introduction so we kind of know the context of what we will be talking about before I tell the story of how a Norwegian guy got involved with a fully robotic, self-cooking, autonomous Korean barbecue robotic kitchen. Well, I think just for the listeners here, I started this journey about a year ago with the team here, and we see ourselves being the creators of the future of dining. And again, that's why we're building fully autonomous self-cooking kitchens that we can put into restaurants, into kiosks, and into food trucks, as you just mentioned. So as the high level type of thing here is as the previous co-founder of Uber and now Cloud Kitchen, Travis Kalanick, puts it is in 100 years, we will see a brand new way of consuming. And we see that the food is going to be high quality, ultra low cost, very convenient, and all made and delivered by machines home to you, also by machines. So kind of embracing what's happening right now, at least for the next 10, 20, and 5 years, we see ourselves being at the starting point of where the technology of food or dining is going. So just like sweet greens with spice that are taking over a fully automated way of making sweet greens meals, we see ourselves doing that as an end-to-end solution for Korean barbecue and cooking the raw ingredients and prepare any cuisine that we can deliver in 5 to 8 minutes. So that's kind of the whole high level idea behind what we're doing. But back to your question of who I am and why I ended up here, I'd say very short, grew up in a small town in Norway. Norway is a country, for the people who don't know, right between the North Pole and IKEA. So it's very conveniently placed. And I've always been a little creative and full of ideas. So at 16, I started my first entrepreneurial venture with ski goggles because I realized that the goggles that we had in the country weren't made for our low lights. It was typically for the French beautiful slopes with tons of light even in the winter time. So I found out that the lens technology has some improvements, and that got me into the whole world of entrepreneurship, a bachelor in entrepreneurship, but later a master of science at UC Berkeley, which I survived, I think, for 3 months before I dropped out to build something new. And that's kind of how I came to the Bay Area in the first place, building it was a matchmaking tool for founders to investors called Founder Suite. And together with the team there, I also co-created Funding Stack, a tool for funds or VCs to get connected to LPs. So democratizing access to capital in a model similar to Tinder. So I kind of had Tinder for investor matchmaking. And that was my software days for 3 years until I again wanted to try my luck with the physical products because I have this love, Daphne, with like things that I can smell, things that I can taste, and things that I can touch. And there's not too much of that here in the Bay Area, but I was hosting one investor dinner with one of my latest company that I had a consultancy agency for helping companies raise capital, create their pitch decks, and this Korean team came out of nowhere and presented themselves as a self-cooking, fully autonomous Korean barbecue robotic solution. And I couldn't believe my own ears. I was like, what is this? But after a few conversations with Jay, the co-founder of the company, I was convinced. And I saw that this is really at the frontier of technology, and they're building something that is gonna be the next frontier at the technology of dining.
I think you're probably right. There's not many innovation ventures in the Bay Area involved with the food.
100%. I think this should be more focus on, there's so much longevity focus here in the Bay Area. So why isn't there more focus on the food we're consuming? Like why isn't there more fully mechanical or autonomous things for those activities? Because people don't want to cook anymore. Can I ask you, Daphne, do you typically cook yourself, or do you dine out or get delivery?
I think I will have a more than 50% dining out elsewhere than eating at home.
And why is that?
Convenience.
The convenient and time. Time is money.
Yes.
That's true. And I think about like cooking as the same way as like as a good analogy is like, horses are great for, having fun on a weekend. But you wouldn't take a horse to work. Just as in the future, I think more and more people are going to choose to either dine out or get the food sent to them as it's more convenient and it's easier than coming home at 8 p.m. and then cooking a high quality meal for your children and then back at work again the next day.
So what does OLHSO stand for? What is the meaning of the name?
Yeah, good question. So also stand for represents a paradigm shift in how we eat and how we dine, as we've just talked about. And because we believe that the old model of restaurants where there's labor shortages, super high, raising minimum wages and inconsistent meal quality is the downfall of the current restaurant model. So we believe that there is a solution to this. So also proves this by kind of applying these first principle thinking into how small and how tight of a space we can actually create a full end kitchen without any physical employees. And yeah, we rethink the entire dining experience and can confidently say that that's right. This is the future of dining. So that's right is the meaning of the Korean word ulso. So I don't speak Korean, but that's what I know. That also means that's right.
So
Do you speak any Korean, Daphne? Or
not
have
at
any
all.
words? No?
Not at all.
That makes the two of us. That's good to know.
So why did you choose to focus on Korean cuisine? Can you robotic kitchen prepare more than just sauté dishes?
Yes, and again, very good point to make here. We believe that, Korean cuisine is a very good place to start. First of all, our team is Korean, so it would be strange not to start with with this thing. But again, it's a very traditional and meals presented by quality meats, quality ingredients. So it's a very good cuisine to start off with. Many dishes naturally work with woks, which is the type of cooking technique that we are using for many of our dishes. So high heat cooking, and this can be ideal for robotics. So we have dishes like Wagyu beef, 닭갈비, probably butchering these words right now, but that is the incredible chicken dish. And we have japchae, which is a vegan alternative with glass noodles. And of course, also we call it the soul bowl, which is a seafood type of dish. So we believe that there's so many good alternatives that we can cook using our robotic technology. And actually, fun story, we needed some culinary genius to get started on the whole process. So Jay and Keish, the founders of the company, actually contacted Jay's favorite chef, and he said no. He owns 20 restaurants, world-renowned chef from Korea, 20 restaurants to his name. And every time Jay came back to Korea, because he was working in Singapore for Morgan Stanley, and he was so hungry for like something incredible. And he came to his restaurant, and I think he knocked maybe 5 or 6 times before he finally said, I'll think about it. And eventually he moved his whole family without knowing one word of English to the Bay Area, where he today is managing the restaurant and training. Most importantly, training these robotics to consistently make the same food as he is, spending his whole life doing, to the same consistency, humidity at different times of the cooking process. So everything is done seamlessly by itself and consistently made every single time. So, yes. And to your last question, we can cook much more than just Korean dishes. I think for what we see right now, over 90% of all dishes can be broken down to a satay or a wok, where we can basically do Japanese noodles all the way to Korean, barbecue to pad thai. All these different things can be embedded into the hardware and the software that we have built with our robotics. So it all comes down to training. We need real data when it comes to this. We have to use, I would say, the best chefs out there to cook like them, to teach the kitchen to cook like they do. And then once you have one machine, once you convince one machine how to make this, we can put this out to all our other machines. That is, can make it simply with a software update.
It seems like you know Korean food quite well so far. What is your favorite dish on the menu and why?
I would say that's a better question actually. I think the dak galbi. Dak galbi is a very delicious dish. It has that spice and also this beautiful sense of sweetness, as the chicken is combined with rice cakes. So you have all these different types of consistencies in the same meal, with rice, of course, on the side. So I like it a little bit spicy. I'm still Norwegian and I'm a little too white for like the maximum heat, but we have an ability to choose how strong we actually want it. So we want to ultimately make the machines able to do dietary restrictions, so you can have a specialized meal just for you and what you can eat and what you can't. So I always do the mildest, and I still think that is still a little bit too spicy, just being honest with you. What is some of your favorite things about Korean barbecue?
I tried your dishes. I actually like pork belly and wagyu. That was my
Yeah.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, you have tried this. So what do you think? You tried both from the food truck and from our restaurant.
Yes, I have.
If we're talking about the food truck, what do you think what was your biggest not
Takeaway.
shock but takeaway? Yeah, because people think that it's dangerous to eat from robots. That's the consensus that I often hear.
Well, I don't think it's dangerous to eat from a robot kitchen. I tried a couple times. The food was very consistently good. I think I tried three different type of meat. They all taste differently, different spice, and very precisely cooked. I would put it this way.
I hear you. Different way of kind of eating, because you believe that this can't be true. Like this can't be just be made with robotics. But if you think about it, it's a lot safer, because having an 18-year-old with long hair in the back there, cooking your food with a small flu that he doesn't want to admit that he has, is always a little riskier than actually having robotics that can sanitize and, as you said, clean by themselves between every single meal. So there's no cross-contamination compared to seeing some of the standards that certain restaurants actually have. I don't think people actually want to see in the kitchen of most of the restaurants they actually go and eat.
And one thing I really like it for Asian, they want food very hot in
Mm.
certain temperature.
Oh my
And your
God.
truck actually produced the right temperature of the dishes. The temperature was just right.
Thank you. We have really honed our skill over many years now. We've been, the company is, yeah, operations here in the US has been for the past 3 years. So yeah, we've been trying consistently to find what the perfect temperature, what the consistency, humidity, all these different things, actually leveraging generative AI as well. So we can use the intel from our cameras in the truck to see what is the color, how consistently is it made, is it ready, is it not ready, is it too burned, is it not burned, like is it, yeah, pink. We have to understand all these different data points to perfect the dishes over time.
And I know you hired a chef home. How many chefs or staff working behind the scenes? What role do they play?
So we have two different examples of this because currently we have the food truck and we have the restaurants. So in the restaurant, the way these chefs actually play a role is that there's a symbiotic relationship between the chefs and the robotics. So here I like to think of it as a way to cut the some of the very labor intensive, almost repetitive tasks of doing walks, which we can now do with robotics, but more advanced dishes where we need to do maybe an hibachi grill. That is a more traditional thing that we want to have a person actually doing. So some of the meats will then be prepared by chefs, and other stews, woks, and satays will then be performed and cooked by the robotics, which can do it in about 5 to 8 minutes, which is a lot faster and more consistently made than any chef out there could do. Even if you're standing over a hot, stove all day and doing the same movement, you're gonna make it a little bit inconsistent every single time, even how skilled you are. And it's kind of the risk as well. So we like to think that we can have less people in the kitchen and a better experience for the customer. And for the food trucks, and same thing for the micro restaurants. Yeah, so for the micro restaurant, which we are putting into the airport as well, and we are letting the kitchen, the robotics cook everything, but we have a prep kitchen that takes care of the cutting into similar pieces with some of the sauce and vegetables and puts them into these small canisters. And the canisters are then put into the truck or the micro restaurant. So that is raw meat that can be cooked from there.
You mentioned about 8 minutes. How does the cooking time compare to the conventional kitchen?
Ooh. Okay, so first of all, I don't want to claim that I am any type of chef because I'm not. But from what I've seen in my empirical studies in the kitchen and from experience that I've had with other, especially Korean barbecue places, is that it takes a lot more time because first of all, you have to prep it and then you got to cook it and then you got to, put it on a nice plate, create this beautiful little presentation. So when you have all those stages that you kind of need to go through in a traditional kitchen, it can take anywhere from 2 to almost 4 times as long. Because remember, in the food truck, if you take that as an example, everything is already prepped. It's in the canisters. The canister are in the fridge of the truck. Then a little arm comes and picks up the canister depending on what you actually ordered. Let's say it's dak because that's the best thing there. And then it goes out, picks it in, and delivers it out of the fridge to another robot that puts it into the wok and just tilts the food in there into the wok, and the wok start cooking. So just by having everything prepped and ready, we have we probably spend 30 seconds on something that someone else would spend, you know, 10, 11, 12, 15 minutes on prepping and getting everything out of the fridge, start cutting, adding the sauces, and so on. We can do all that in a prep kitchen. And when we do that scale, it takes way less time. And it's the cooking that really takes the real effort and the consistency that has to be correct every single time. So from every single step, from the prepping to the cooking to the presentation, everything is neatly put into our little bowls by the robot already. So there isn't much presentation work to be done. But I think you need to present it a different way when you have it in a restaurant. So I would say best guess 2 to 4 times as long.
I see. And how many meals your truck can provide without refilling?
Around 50, 55 meals is what each truck can contain. And we have 2 trucks.
Okay.
So, and of course, if we need a few more canisters, we can always keep them chilled down and yeah, bring them with us. But we typically take 2 trucks if there's like a big venue event that's going on, so we know that we have enough. So we can cook 8 dishes every 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay.
So we have 4 walks that can have double portions in each and every one of them. So yeah, we can basically back to your question here, cook the same capacity as 8 to 9 people in a space of a small parking spot. We don't need more than 160 square feet, and that's where our kiosks into the airports are actually going as well, because these things can be placed in an airport and cook consistently 24/7.
I heard you will launch micro restaurants in some airports. How exciting news. When would those robotic kitchen be available to consumers?
Yes, that is the very recent and cool news that we are right now working on. So I'd say, without overpromising, Q1. Q1 26, so by January 26, we have had some very interesting conversations and some contracts already signed with some major airports, both in California, but also around the US. And that's going to be the place that we are placing all of our micro restaurants going forward. So our our strategy is to, yeah, tailor for the 24/7 market, which isn't there today. You've probably been there yourself. You travel a lot more than I do, Daphne, and seeing after 10 p.m. no food available, before 7 a.m. no food available. You should think like a technological hub, like an airport, should be, should not be lacking in one of the most fundamental things, like food. Or what is your experience with
My
food at airports?
experience is almost no food available after midnight until 6 a.m.
That's what we see is a big issue. And then it's like the queues. If you have a short layover, we want to make it, very easy to see exactly how long it takes. You can place an order on the app, maybe while you're still in the security line. This is my whole vision of this concept. While you're still in the security line, your kid is trying to like to tell you like, we need to go, dad, we need to go, and like you're trying to get as soon as possible to your gate, and you're stressed, and the flight is leaving in half an hour, and you know that you can't get any food. If you could open your app, see where is the closest micro restaurant, and just grab and go as soon as you're out of the gate, because everything has been ordered and prepared for you and whoever you're traveling with in time, so you can grab the food and get on your plane. And that is the whole idea behind the 24/7 dining option, and of course, the clutterless experience for stressed people in restaurants, in could be at venues, sport venues. When you're listening to Taylor Swift, you don't want to wait 1.5 hours in a queue for a hot dog. You just get a little ping on your phone when the food is ready. You go in and pick it up and back to your seat again. So it's a lot of, unique challenges that you can solve with something like this. A small 160 square box that works as a full end kitchen that only needs one thing. and that's electricity.
Wow. No water needed because
No,
you did cleaning, right?
they clean themselves, and what we can do, and of course, at the end of the day, we like to clean everything and just make sure everything is up to standards. But so even though it would be nice to have water, it isn't a must. And the trucks don't really need a water filtration system or a filter because, first of all, there's only this big container underneath the truck that has the wastewater that we can switch out with the clean, fresh water at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, depending on how much traffic each truck has had. And so we typically do this in between shifts when we see there is less canisters left in the truck, we can come and fill it up and also replace the water. We have these small filters that can work instead of having a big filtration system that needs to be wired up to a restaurant or wired up to a sewage channel, whatever it is. We can simply have a filtration that we can place on this that I've already placed. So it really doesn't need more than electricity, and there's no gas used, so we can save on all these things at the same time as 99% of the food is never wasted because we only cook once there is an order in the pipeline. And yeah, important to mention that we can store the food for up to 4 days in the fridge without actually going bad. So it's always consistently fresh food with yeah, these dishes being made right in front of you every single time.
What challenges have you encountered in developing this technology?
Basically everything. I think Daphne, that's a good question. Um, Regulatory, statatory, county specific. We have basically seen it all since starting this. Everything has kind of been going against us, but with a team so yeah, so motivated on what they do, they are the reason that I wake up every single morning and believe that this is like this is possible. We had our restaurant delayed 6 months because of the county regulations. We actually had some, oh my God, back and forth with the hibachi grills. It wasn't even the robotics at that point, but just getting the all the being compliant with all the regulations is a hassle, especially when you're building something completely new, which this is. It's the world's first, fully autonomous Korean barbecue robotic kitchen. So we I think that this is something that should be very easy because it is a lot more sanitary than having people working at it. But yeah, that's not how the regulatory compliance actually work, unfortunately.
Since your kitchen operating entirely through robotics, do you plan to extend business hours?
Yes, we can do 24/7. Typically, that's what the whole idea for the micro kitchens that are coming out to the airports and eventually sport arenas, um, public malls, and so on. We want to place these things in high foot traffic areas and finally tailor to the people who are hungry at night, hungry in the early morning. There right now is no viable option for even people working in big corporate offices, like in fulfillment centers for Amazon. Like what do they do when they work in shifts or at Tesla at 4 a.m. in the morning when they have different shifts starting and ending at different times, all hours of the day? You need to have a consistent food alternative that they can consume. And we want to bring this to life with 24/7 dining. And that is what we're doing in Q1 next year.
Is your truck working 24/7 right now?
Since the truck is driven by people, we have set times when it's working, and that is from 11 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night. So we are not currently 24/7, but our restaurant is on 7 days a week, but we cannot do 24/7 with the current model.
Not yet.
Not yet, not before we can be fully autonomous.
Where can people find more information about OLHSO?
Good question. On alsotruck.com are on our two websites, and also House. That will give them some more information about what we where we are, what we do, and please come check out the restaurant. We opened 7 weeks ago today, I think. So it's in San Mateo, downtown San Mateo in Third Street. And if you're hungry for something special for dinner tonight, just open up your app store, go to Also, and you can order the truck right home to you, and it will start cooking 5 minutes before it comes to your door, so it knows that the food will be fresh right when you're about to eat it.
And so is it spelled OLHSO?
That's correct. OLHSO.
It's,
Also.
it's
That's
on
right.
South B Street.
Yes. Yes, South B Street. That's the restaurant. Fantastic. Thank you, Daphne. This was really fun. I'm so glad I could join today's podcast and radio show.
Thank you so much, Tor. Really informative information about the robotic kitchen. How exciting that we have this coming to California.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen. So I hope to see you at more of our dinners. And yeah, hopefully we get to see each other again soon.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
A robot chef on wheels cooked us Korean food, and it's Korean mom approved. Also delivers your meals and cooks them on its way to you, and we got to go inside the truck and see how it works. I was honestly amazed at the robot's efficiency. Each meal took like 3 minutes. We tried Bibigo's shrimp fried rice, along with other Korean dishes like Wagyu kalbi. Everything was so fresh and delicious. If you're in the Bay, definitely check it out.